Welcome to African Insights. Let's explore the truth about Africa. African Insights, please kindly subscribe and like the channel. In black and white, we will narrate the true African story. We have thought of East Africa, Omo Valley in Ethiopia to be specific, as having the first human remains. However, fossils recovered in the Rising Star Cave in 2013 in South Africa have rocked one of the most enduring foundations of the human story. That Homo sapiens arose in a cradle of humankind in East Africa about 200 years ago, whilst the discovery of the South African fossils have been reported to be likely as 335,000 years old. In today's episode, we'll be focusing on the Bantu people. The widely accepted theory is that some 4,000 to 5,000 years ago, the emergence of farming marked a major turning point in African history. Mastering this new skill enabled Bantu speakers, previously hunter gatherers living in the region between Cameroon and Nigeria, to gradually leave their homeland and spread to new areas. This was the start of a millennia long journey that resulted in these populations settling throughout sub Saharan Africa. The Bantu expansion is considered to be the greatest migration event in Africa's prehistory, and its consequences are still visible today. Virtually half of all Africans are part of the Bantu speaking proto language. Proto language being the ancestral language that is found in countries like Gabon, the Comoros, Sudan, and South Africa. Yet, question marks have always remained as to the exact migratory route taken by these peoples. While a first theory known as the early split claimed that the Bantu populations immediately divided into two groups on leaving their homeland, one heading east and one south, the late split theory suggests that Bantu speakers actually began by traversing the equatorial forest, today part of Gabon, before dividing into two migration waves, one continuing south and the other to East Africa. And now that we know the cradle of humankind is in South Africa, do we still hold valid the movement from northeast to southern Africa? Let's quickly take a look at the Khoi. Colonizers have said that they have self acclaimed that Khoi means men of men. Now, since the cradle of humankind is in South Africa, let us take a look at how these men of men have influenced one of the southern Bantu peoples, the Nguni people. The now almost extinct Khoi have stimulated the introduction of certain phonological novelties to the sound system of Xhosa.
Today I'm going to introduce to you the four click sounds in my language. The first click is the first click is the second click is second click is the third click is the third click is, and the last click is
and in once, if I use that all click sounds, I can form a sentence, and it sounds like this. That means let's go to dance.
Kugqwalekile exhukwane kwaxhaxhwa. Iqaqa laqikeka-qikeka eqhawukeni laze laqhawuka uqhoqhoqo. Hlala uhleli hleze uhlaselwe ngamahlahla. Icacile ngamacala icacisela izingxoxo. Sithi ke apho.
The word Bantu is an exclusively linguistic label and has no other primary implications, either of race or of culture. The family of dialects was named by a 19th century German philologist, Wilhelm Bleek. Thus, the word Bantu can be constructed as people or the people. Thus, in the Nguni languages of South Africa, you will find isiXhosa, isiZulu, isiSwati, Ndebele, people is Abantu.
Africa is not perceived by the people outside her as she really is. One, my people are Zulus, as a tribe famous for warrior exploits for many, many years now. But wait, do you know, sir, that Zulu people actually hated war and didn't love it as historians would have you believe? We Zulu people call war impi, I-M-P-I, and we call evil imbi or ububi. Now the word imbi and the word imbi come from exactly the same root, which means that which is evil. We call copper itusi, which means the helper, the frightener away of evil spirits. But we call iron insimbi, which means the evil metal.
It was 19th century European linguists, German to be exact, who put forward the theory that the Bantu languages descended from a common Proto Bantu language, and they went on to reconstruct the likely course of this linguistic community's expansion. While at expeditions at Zanzibar, they were surprised and pleased by a bonus they received. Their porters and escorts spoke a language that was understood through wide areas of sub-equatorial Africa and could understand many of the tribal dialects they encountered in the eastern half of the region. The reason was that those concerned were speaking one or another form of Bantu, a family of languages common to more than 130 million black Africans, comprising several hundred separate tribal groups who still inhabit much of Africa south of the equator. The Zanzibar version of the language, Kiswahili, is enriched with loanwords from several foreign tongues. Its very name comes from the Arabic word Sahil, or coast, so that it can be rendered as coast dialect. The basic form of Swahili, however, is pure Bantu. American linguist Joseph Greenberg would go on to develop a classification system for African languages that supported the idea of a geographic expansion, while British colonial administrator Henry Hamilton Johnson drew up the first map outlining and dating the stage of this so called expansion. Some commonalities of the Bantu group: 1. Animism and worship system; 2. Ethics; 3. World view; 4. Elements of the universe; and 5. Ancestral worship. There is no such thing as Bantu people. It was Willem Hendrik Bleek who first coined the term Bantu. which is the plural form of the word Mtu, meaning person, man, or individual. Blake proposed the word as a designation of the languages which displayed similar characteristics with the word Mtu as the basis for classification. Although there is a certain physical resemblance among some of the ethnic groups who speak clearly marked Bantu languages or dialects, there is, nevertheless, a great diversity in outward appearance, shape of head, and other physical characteristics among those ethnic groups speaking Bantu languages. In addition, there is no such thing as a typical Bantu phenotype or genotype. Africa has the highest levels of human genetic variation in the world and contains a considerable amount of linguistic, environmental, and cultural diversity. Therefore, there is no such thing as a Bantu gene or Bantu population. It does not seem likely then that all these various ethnic groups ever formed parts of one family, as their languages may be said to do. Bantu is not a term of ethnic identity and should not be used as such. Thank you for watching today's episode. Do kindly subscribe and like.